If you have any interest in getting into or exploring the Nordic trad folk music scene, particularly the Swedish side of things, then Väsen is a name you should familiarize yourself with pretty much before you do anything else. This duo, for most of its career a trio, were major figures in the revitalization of the Swedish folk music scene through the 90s and 2000s, and since their founding in 1989 have released over 20 albums. Since the departure of beloved guitarist Roger Tallroth in 2020, the remaining members Olov and Mikael have been exploring the new and exciting challenges of continuing Väsen's monumental legacy as a fiddling duo. We first heard this new side of Väsen with their 2021 album Duo, and now in 2023 they bring us yet another fantastic foray into duet life with Melliken. So, without further ado, let's dive into the latest chapter of Väsen's long and storied career. It was quite the talk of the town, so to speak, when Väsen announced that Roger Tallroth would be leaving the band back in 2020. For their whole career, they had been a trio, and no one ever expected them to be anything else. Further, Tallroth's guitar playing was a pretty significant aspect of Väsen's sound and unique blend of traditional with the progressive. So this shakeup led to a lot of questions, rumors, and conspiracies as to what Väsen's music would be like going forward, as just a duo with two fiddlers. Well, with their 2021 album Duo, we finally had our answer. Väsen was still Väsen, unsurprisingly. Just a little bit different, but always fresh and exciting. And with Melliken, I'm over the moon to say that Väsen manages to create just as much magic and spark as a duo as they did as a trio, just in a little bit of a different way. Now, to me, the most interesting part of Väsen's newfound duet style is how Mikael has taken to filling in the role of string picker under Olof's nyckelharpa playing so naturally. Mikael's pizzicato on either the bass viola or the cello da spalla throughout this album adds an incredibly unique sound to Melliken that you can't really find anywhere else. It just goes to show that even after almost 40 years together as a band, these guys still have some pretty unique tricks up their sleeves. Check it out on the track Boden. But, of course, Mikael still gets plenty of time to shine on this record as a fiddler, too. On Uglemarschen, for instance, he shows off his cello da spalla skills playing a pretty intricate counterpart to Olof's nyckelharpa playing. Now, as is the theme with trad albums this year, it seems, musicians are stepping outside of their typical instrumentation comfort zone and exploring new timbres and instrumental voices. And honestly, I couldn't be happier about this. Of course, Uglemarschen would be just as awesome with more typical instrumentation, but something about that pizzicato cello da spalla playing just gives this track that much extra bit of sex appeal. Now, if I could go track by track on this album without it getting tedious, believe me, I would. But trad folk albums tend to be filled to the brim with over a dozen tracks, sometimes even 24 tracks. So instead, you'll just have to take my word for it that each and every one of these tunes is worth listening to, as is any tune from any of Väsen's discography. These guys have proven themselves to be world-class musicians and absolute legends of the Swedish and even just general Nordic folk music scene over the last 40 years. To put that into perspective, just think of the influence and the amount of time that Metallica has been in the heavy metal scene. That's about as long as Väsen has been a part of the Swedish trad music scene. So that's pretty much just how significant they are in the grand timeline of like the last 50 years or so of Swedish folk music. And as much as I miss Roger Tallroth shredding alongside these guys, and I hope to see him return at least as a guest in the future, Mikael and Olov are masters of their craft, who no doubt are just getting started with this new phase in Väsen's saga. To just put it plainly, Melliken is a must-listen to for anyone invested at all in traditional Nordic folk music, and I hope you give it the time it deserves for a deep listen, as it's truly one of a kind. And so friends, that wraps up my review of Väsen's Melliken. I've waited too long to review an album from these guys, as they were my first Nordic folk music love, and even my wife walked down the aisle at our wedding to one of their bridal marches. So of course, this band has a very special place in my heart, and I hope you fall in love with them too, just as I did all those years ago. If you guys want to support the show, either like, share, or subscribe here on YouTube, and if you want to support me more directly, head on over to patreon.com/baldscald, linked in the description down below, to check out the various tiers I have over there. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time on the Nordic Sound channel.